And go straight into questions. John Hale.
Brad, Pro Football Focus had Jamin Davis rated as the best defender in the country this weekend. I'm curious if your all's internal metrics had him graded out the same way, and regardless, what do you think about the way he's been playing this year?
Yeah, Jamin played really well. Obviously those, it's an internal metric thing for us, and there's still some things we need to clean up, and he knows that. But he's playing at a really high level right now. He's making big time plays, and big time plays in big time moments. And Coach Stoops talks about all the time. You don't know when that one play is going to happen, the one that's going to change the game. And so you have to just keep playing every down, with that same focus and intensity, because when that play arises, are you going to be able to make it? And, the last couple of weeks, he's been able to come up with some really big turnovers, done a great job tackling, playing with great awareness, pinning ball carriers to the ground. So again, there's still some things. It wasn't a perfect game, but, obviously playing at a real high level right now. I thought him and Square both, from an inside backer position, really controlled Saturday, and really proud of both those guys.
Josh.
Brad, I know easy to look at their quarterback and the new guy and kind of all the exciting stuff they do in the pass game, but it seems like they're starting to make some ground up with their run game too. After that first game, they've done pretty well the last 2 weeks. How do you see that as part of their offense and trying to contain that?
Yeah, they're really starting to mesh offensively. Obviously with what happened with the pandemic, and it's going to take a new staff. It's going to take those guys a little bit time to gel and understand their system, and you can see them, the light bulb starting to go off. Both those backs are really talented. Beatty's got a lot of juice, and 34 is, he's really, really consistent. We've seen him for a lot of years. We know what he's all about. He does a great job of putting his foot in the ground, going downhill, creating tough yards. He's got a big, thick lower half, so he's hard to wrap up. You see a lot of guys kind of fall off him. So we have to do a great job of, not just tackling individually, but as a gang tackle, because it's hard to get him down with just one. So we got our work cut out for us, from in terms of stopping that run game. And they're really efficient at it. The linemen do a great job of being able to get to the second level. The center does a nice job of being able to snap and step, and gain a lot of ground early. So up front we've got to play a really good game. Our D line has to play really solid. And our inside backers and outside backers have to do a great job setting edges, to try to get this thing capped off and force that ball back inside. So again, obviously a big challenge for us, but obviously, we saw what they've been able to do through the air as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking about the guys up front, Brad, what do you do kind of in your rotation with Quentin, assuming he's still out of action for a bit? How does that rotation set up?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to play, we're going to have to play quite a few different guys. Some of those young freshmen are going to have to step up. Obviously Marquand's got to step up and play big there at the nose for us. So, and it's a big week, when you look at the film, it wasn't. I've been really high on the front, through the first several weeks of the season. I thought last week was probably their worst game in terms of gap integrity, doing what they need to do. They got bumped out of some gaps, and again, I think the inside backers did a nice job of just sort of making up for it. But we can't have that this week. There'll be way too many holes, too many vertical seams. So we've got to do a good job of getting back to gap integrity. Coach Stewart does an unbelievable job with those guys. He stays on them. The growth of the young guys from when they first got here in summer, for the most of them came in summer, Ox came early, to where they are now, it's leaps and bounds, but there's still some really big leaps that we need to make to continue to play winning football. So we're going to have to roll guys through, and we're going to need the guys to elevate their play from where they've been playing.
If I could follow up real quick on that, is Marquand showing that he can be on the field, for more snaps, and how's his conditioning looking?
He is, but until you sort of experience, the down after down after down grind, you can only simulate that so much in practice, before you get a break. And, in practice, the sideline's right there. So it's easy to just move right over and get a water break. Or in a game situation, you're running off and on, you're running in and out of personnel groups. So there's an even greater taxing effect there that, we'll have to do a good job of managing throughout the game. And again, he's not going to be able to take all the snaps. We're going to have to, just like you did. So we're going to have to rotate bodies in there at nose and at all three of those D-line positions, and try to keep people as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
Brad, when it comes to the linebackers, what did you tell them specifically about their coverage after the Ole Miss game that's helped them kind of thrive these last couple games?
I think Coach Summerall has done a great job sort of just looking at how we teach and how we coach. And I think that's the beauty of coaching. At every position, if something's not going right, everybody thinks it's all about pointing a finger, or it's this guy, or it's that, either it's the ski. Hey, sometimes you just have to stop, you reevaluate. Maybe you have to change something and maybe it's something that we've done for a long time. So we've made some just small, minute, footwork changes, that we haven't necessarily done in the past. And I think it's helped us. Again, Coach Summerall did a great job of identifying and saying, hey, what if we try this? And I think it's really been helpful and effective. And hopefully that's something that we can continue to sort of deploy throughout the rest of the season and years to come. But again, it's an ever-evolving system. And I think a lot of it depends on who you're playing, the scheme that you're playing. Sometimes you want to slow those guys down. Sometimes you want to attack them a little bit more at the line of scrimmage. Obviously getting to play Mississippi State, when we knew they were going to throw, we slowed those guys down. And, I think it's really helped us in the depth of our drops, and that showed on Jamin's pick. He had great depth in his hook drop and was able to handle the bender.
John Wall.
Brad, I want to follow up on that down after down grind comment that you made. It seems like the four opponents so far have gone up tempo on you. Is that just coincidence, or are they seeing something that they want to exploit? What do you attribute that to?
No, I think that every offense sort of has that in their system. I think a lot of teams use that, in terms to be able to jumpstart their offense. And if it's struggling, if it's, some it's part of what they do. It's just their DNA. For some, they use it as a kickstart. Some just like to mix it. And I didn't feel like last week it was ultra tempo like we've seen in the past. Even Mississippi State, wasn't crazy tempo. I do feel, obviously the Auburn had a fair amount of it, and then Ole Miss was, a lot. But I think every offense is going to try to see if they can gain an advantage through it. The nice thing about it is if you play good defense, it gives you a chance to go. If you can get off the field and 3 and out, it doesn't give their defense much time to rest. So there's a risk-reward aspect to tempo. And the key for us is to get off the field early, which we did, a fair amount, on Saturday, not all the time. But then especially in the second half we did. And it gave our offense a chance to wear them down, Tennessee down a little bit defensively. And I think a lot of it, that one drive, the scoring drive, is we were back on the field quite a bit. We ended up playing about 48 plays in that first half, just because the pick sixes are awesome, to put the points on the board, but it also means you have to go right back out without any recovery time.
Curtis.
On the Jamin's pick six, when you saw guys like Brandon Eccles like hustling all the way down the field, I think he was all pretty far out of the play to make sure that Jamin gets into the end zone. I mean, how important is that selflessness in moments like that, and for the game overall?
I'm glad you brought that up, because on the bus ride home, I was watching the game with Coach Scola, and I stopped the film, and it almost, of all the excitement of the game and winning, and those are the plays, not the points. It was the hustle that it choked me up. I'm like, Coach Scola, and it's Joe, look at this. Like, this is what it's all about. And you see all these white jerseys running down the field, passing orange jerseys. And you said, they didn't have the ball in their hand. They weren't going to get the stat. They weren't getting the score, but they cared so much about their teammate that they were going to do everything in their power to help get him into the end zone. And it was the same thing on Josh Pascal's interception. Nobody talked about, if you look back at Josh's in Mississippi State and you watch Kelvin sprinting down the sideline, and you watch Eck from 15 yards back run all the way down the field to escort. And then in the same deal, there was Boogie and Square were escorting, and there were blocks that set the whole thing in motion that a lot of people don't see, by D-Rob and Ty. That's what makes you well up with pride as a coach, because you look out there and you see guys straining for each other.
All right, anybody else? John Wong.
Yeah, Brad, I know Coach Stoops always he tells you keep an even keel whether you win or lose, but just personally, have you ever experienced such a big swing in emotion from the first two games of the season where everybody wanted to crucify your defense, these last two games where they think you're walking on water?
Yeah, that, you're in this game long enough, you're going to go through those ebbs and flows. And I remember the first time we were in Indy in 2012, we went out to Chicago, we lost, then we beat Minnesota, and then we lost a tough one to the Jaguars, and we're 1-2, and then we're going into the bye week, and we find out about Coach Pagano's, and you're living on these highs and lows, and we lost the Jaguars game in a 2-minute drill on a 80-yard touchdown pass, and it was just like you couldn't have felt any worse. And then you're going ahead and you're going to play the Green Bay Packers coming out of the bye, and you're 1-2. If you lose that, you're going to be 1-3. And we go down, we're at home, we're down big at halftime, I think almost 3 scores, and we come back in the second half and end up winning, and then we end up making the playoffs that year. But it's those highs and lows in football that you have, and if you can just not ride the roller coaster. We talk about with our players, instead of going up and down and up and down, if you can just take steady progress, so that by the end of the season you're better than where you started, you're going to be in good shape. And so, our guys understand that, how quick it can go. Just like you said, they're getting crucified after first 2 weeks. Now everybody's telling them how good they are, and they can go right back the other way if they don't just keep their head on straight. So we're just playing it day by day. Again, trying to be the best defense we can be, and hopefully it shows up on Saturdays.
All right, guys, we'll have players up here as soon as possible. right, everybody, we got Kelvin Joseph, of the pick six.